Hey guys, welcome back to Guiding Tides podcast. I'm very excited to introduce a dear friend of mine who's got, my God, a history of challenges and struggles that she's worked herself through, and she's just killing it. And I thought it was really important to share her story with you all, as the focus of our podcast is resiliency and strength and moving forward in addressing our mental health issues. So I'm very happy to introduce Christine Ravisi Weinstein to our show. And along with us, we got Jeff and Jessica, and my name's Mahesh. And without further ado, I just really want to get into it. And I want to share with everyone the reason for my excitement is that in my career as working as a therapist and working as a school counselor, and the other things I've done, I've come across several stories of people struggling through trauma, struggling through depression, anxiety, um, and they talk about what got them there. They talk about being victimized. And what I always found fascinating about you is that you did not dwell on being a victim. Your focus has always been moving forward, reinventing yourself, and developing the strength, even in the darkest of times.
Yeah.
I call it solution focused rather than problem focused.
Right.
So it is great to have you on,
Thank you.
like-minded
Welcome to the
individual.
show.
you.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Mahesh, this is an honor. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate your patience with having me on. I know we were supposed to do this much earlier in the year, but
No, it's
it's
well
been
worth
quite
it.
the winter for illness. So I'm
really has been.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here. And, thank you for your kind words. I think for everybody out there, we were colleagues for a couple of years. And that's where we met. I think we hit it off right away.
Absolutely.
I think you're amazing at what you do. I was able to see you on the front lines of the mental health crisis that exists right now, and working with kids. And I mean, your work never stopped. You were constantly running around, and whether it was a student that you worked with regularly or a student you might not have known that was in a crisis, you were always ready to jump up to the plate and help out. So
Thank you.
it was a privilege to work with you. So. Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of summed it up. I've always, and I don't really know where it comes from. I think it's my stubbornness.
Which is a great quality to have.
Yeah, I just refuse to let my past define my future. It's a part of me. It's my story. I can't ignore it. But it does nobody any good if I dwell on it.
Yeah.
And so life keeps moving, life keeps going on, and it's nobody's responsibility but my own to move past the struggles that I've had in my life. And then becoming a mom, that totally changes your perspective. And there are days where I do dwell a little bit and I want to dwell, but then I've got two little humans that have an expectation and a need, and that quickly changes the script for me. And so that's been even more of a motivation for me not to dwell on the past. So
Yeah.
Christine, I do my best to try and keep my ego in check these days under the premise that my ego is not my amigo.
okay.
But one thing I'll say comfortably to you or anyone is I'm a great parent. And in the last, 7+ years that I've gotten to enjoy that journey, it's maybe one of the only things I can look at in my life and say, like, I've just been naturally good at this.
yeah. Mhm.
Anything else I've done, just two left feet and two left hands, just awful. But sorry, that just struck a
Yeah,
chord.
no, I mean, it's weird for me because growing up, I think there's this expectation that women want to be moms.
Mhm.
Like, it's supposed to be something that's inherent in you, or a feeling.
You're
and
supposed
a
to be
desire.
born with this
this
desire to want
instinct,
children. Yeah.
right? And I'll be honest, growing up, I had no interest. I was terrified. I don't necessarily know what it was. As someone who was really interested in science, I loved science in school. I majored in biology in college. I started out my education journey as a biology teacher. I think I was just more terrified about the physiology of the whole process. Like,
Oh God.
Well, it's
being
scary.
pregnant, and really more like the process of giving birth. Like, oh my God, like
Oh.
all you hear about is how much pain it is. And it's like, I'm going through all this emotional pain. I'm not going to like
Were you in the
choose
room?
on top of that.
Physical pain.
Twice I've been in the room, but I always say I can't handle the lunar cycle, let alone having some sort of internal cycle. Goodness, what in the world?
Then you put the two together.
Anytime a man will even bring
Recipe
up
for
trying to
disaster.
be supportive of what women go through, there's no good delivery.
No.
Because the answer is always, and my wife
You
comes
don't
to
know.
mind right away, who'll just look at me and say, just shut up.
Yeah,
You don't
exactly.
understand.
You don't have any idea.
The pain involved.
Yeah, but then I
But then you get a beautiful miracle from it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I got married and it just was like, yeah, I want to have a kid. And I think for me it was because there was something in me, and I can't really pinpoint, but I almost wanted the opportunity to change that cycle, right?
Yes.
So I think that what Mahesh was referring to is, while I always know that people have it worse, and I think there's a line between understanding that there are folks that have it worse, but also not minimizing your own trauma.
Yeah.
I think that's really important, because there are people that you might open up to and they say, well, people have it worse. You should feel lucky. And then that makes you pause, and now you feel guilty that,
Right.
well, I guess I shouldn't feel bad about this. I really struggled with that line, and I got to a point where it was like, no, it's okay to realize both.
Yeah.
It's okay to acknowledge it could have been worse, but it's also okay to be like,
That
that
fucking sucked.
sucked.
Yeah.
Right? And I got to a point in adulthood where I said, I'm never going to change what happened, but I can rectify it. And for me, that meant having a child and providing for them what was missing for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the driving force behind it. And then when I realized I was pregnant, I was like, oh no, now I got to go through that whole pain thing. But you get to a place where, and
You just want 'em out.
yeah, you get to a place where you're like, this is awful. Like, I don't even care what it's going to feel like. Like, this sucks. I
Yep.
don't like this last couple months of pregnancy. So you don't even
the
think
worst.
about that anymore. But yeah, for me, that motivation was, I want to change this cycle of, emotional abuse as a child.
Yeah.
And, I don't want to do this again.
You
There's
want to
no-
give your kids what your parents couldn't give you.
Exactly.
There's no hood like parenthood.
Yep.
Because I feel the same way. Like, my parents did their best with us, but they didn't have a handbook. They didn't know what to do. They were young themselves. My parents were 19 and 18 when they had
Wow.
my sister, and then they had me at 26.
Wow.
So, like, they waited 7 years to have me.
Mhm.
But, like, I see how my mom is now with my daughter. And if she could rewrite the book, she would. But it is
what it is.
It
Right,
is
yeah.
what it is, exactly. But it is amazing being able to create life and to rewrite that script.
Yep. For me, when I had my son, I went
Is
through.
he the oldest?
He is the oldest. He's 12. I went through significant postpartum depression, and I had been diagnosed with anxiety and depression prior. Thought I had a handle on it. Went through a couple rounds of therapy, medications. Was doing better. Wasn't doing better. It was just. I think a
limbo.
lot of people deal with this sort of cycle, right? There's a stigma around being medicated. There's a stigma around therapy. You think you got things under control. You're like, I can do this on my own. So you
Yeah.
stop those things, and then you go downhill again, and you're like, why can't I do this?
Then there's if you're pregnant, you can't take this, can't take
So,
that anymore. This
right.
is off the table all of a
Correct.
sudden. And I'm not talking like sushi,
Yeah, no, it's awesome that you mentioned that, because I actually went through that. So I had my son. I was not medicated. Instant postpartum depression.
Wow.
It was so significant that I had an emergency C-section while my pregnancy was easy. The birth was awful.
And how does the PPD present for you?
So
What
yeah,
does it
that's a
look
great
like, if you don't
question.
mind?
So just so that you know as well, I also got MRSA in my C-section incision.
Jesus Christ.
Sorry.
So that was another whole layer of issue for me,
Chaos,
of
yeah.
chaos. Yeah. I
Wow.
couldn't stop crying after I had him those 4 days in the hospital. And I remember maybe day 2, the nurse came in to check on me, and I looked at her, and I think this is really important. for people to know because they may have experienced it themselves. I looked at her and I said, I am not well. I am not okay. I'm scared. I'm sad. I can't stop crying. And she looked at me, and I'm sure she's wonderful at what she does. She said, "Don't worry about it. You're a new mom. First time moms
That's
always
exactly
feel
what
that
you
way."
wanted to hear.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, "Holy crap! I just took this risk and opened up to this woman that is supposed to be a medical care provider."
Right.
I told her I am not okay, and she went,
Yeah.
"No
Suck it
big
up,
deal.
buttercup.
Everybody deals
Pull
with that."
yourself up by your bootstraps.
Yeah, and so you want to talk about minimizing your voice
Mhm.
as and as a female too, right? So I remember being like, "What's wrong with me? Like, why can't I
handle this?
Why do I feel this way now?" Right?
Yeah.
So that for me was the initial thing.
Can
Get
I
home.
ask, can I ask
yeah,
a
go
crazy
ahead.
question? How did latching and breastfeeding and all of that go?
Oh my God, probably similar for all women. There was a pressure to
Awful.
do it. It actually, I think looking back, I did way better than I thought I was doing at the time, but it hurts. It sucks. It's not pleasant the first time you're learning how to do it. But I was doing it. But you also have to understand, I have MRSA in my incision. To breastfeed, you need to sit. You have this boppy pillow. Is that what that's what it's called, right?
Yep.
It's been so long. And you have that around
Yeah, but
your
you never
midsection.
forget that damn boppy pillow.
Yes, you have that around your midsection. You're trying to hold this baby to get him to latch. And the pain you're experiencing from this infection is everything is like pressure on it, right?
Oh,
Because
my
all I want to do is lay back and let air get at it. On top of that, maybe it's a TMI situation, but
I
the doctor said
asked.
the only way this is going to heal is if you don't wear pants. Okay, but like I'm bleeding, right? Because I'm a new mom. What am I supposed to do? I got family who's like, we want to see the baby, and I can't wear like I can't invite people to my house. Like
Be
this
like,
is supposed to be
"Enter
a
at your
great
own
time.
risk."
This is supposed to be an awesome time. I'm supposed to be excited and happy. And so I discovered there's this whole layer of motherhood, new mom, that nobody talks about.
Exactly. No one
It's
talks about this stuff.
glorified. This is amazing. You're on maternity leave. You must be so. No, I'm miserable.
Yeah.
I am
No
miserable.
one's sleeping, trying to figure out a schedule.
Yeah.
Are they eating enough? Are they peeing? Are they pooping?
Yes.
Did they spit up? What color was it?
From where I'm sitting, too, you two are still only hitting like 2 of the 18 dimensions of
100%.
everything you're saying.
100%.
Yeah. Well, I
It's-
had my daughter during COVID.
Oh, so you had that whole layer.
So
on
I
top
had
of
that
it.
layer of fear and anxiety of bringing life into this world that it's unknown. Like, is she going to get this virus? Am I going to get this virus? Is the people around me going to get this
So
virus?
scary.
Am I going to have my support person there while
Yep.
I'm there? And then, meanwhile, my birth was smooth as pie. So, like, I was very lucky
Yep.
in that sense that everything went nice and smooth. So I didn't have a traumatic experience. But, like, the traumatic experience was everything that was going on around me.
Yes.
And then I fell ill with postpartum anxiety.
There you go. Right. So that's on top of that, right?
Yep.
So I guess the long answer to your original question, Jeff, was how did I know? That's how I knew. I knew instantly. And it was probably 6 months, maybe even longer, before I said to my husband at the time, I need help.
Mm.
I mean, it was so deep that I would look at my son, and it's hard to say this now and be like, not that I wanted to hurt him, but look at him and say, I don't want him. I liked my life before him. How do I not want him?
How do
Yeah.
I undo this?
Yeah, how do I undo this? And so it was just, I told my husband at the time, and I found a therapist, and she's still my therapist to this day.
That's
so we're
amazing.
looking at, 12 years going on. And
Now, that's
she
a great
jokes-
therapist.
Yeah, she jokes with me because she's like, Christine, do you remember when we were first trying to schedule appointments? And you were like, I can't do 5 because I'm supposed to breastfeed my son at that exact time, right? Like,
Oh, the
it was-
schedule.
Yeah, the schedule, right? Like, and she's like, and now you're just like, whenever you want to meet. Like, it doesn't. And so I met with her for a while, and then it was probably maybe 6 months after seeing her that I felt like it wasn't enough. And I said, I think I need medication again.
Okay.
Got on medication, and then got pregnant with my daughter. Now, to your point about can you stay on this medication while you're pregnant? What do you do? That whole thing. Got pregnant, didn't know what to do. Total juxtaposition from my experience with that nurse when I had my son. My doctors worked together to make a decision what was in the best interest of me and my
That's
unborn
great.
child.
Wow.
They had decided that it was worth the risk of staying on my medication. I take Zoloft, pretty common medication.
Mm-hmm.
There was a risk that my daughter would be born with delayed development as a result of that. But they thought that that risk was worth it because there's so much research that shows if a mother is mentally well, it's better for the child.
Right.
Took the risk. My daughter was born. She had developmental delays. That was hard for me as a mom because I
you
knew
feel
that
like
was my fault.
Yeah.
So my daughter was born with developmental delays. She went through early intervention. It was like her right leg. She didn't crawl. She kind of like boot scooted, but like sat on it and kind of like moved herself
Mhm.
across. And she went through early intervention, and she's to the point now where, as her mom, when she sprints, I can kind of tell there's a. But to anybody else, they wouldn't notice.
They would never know. Yeah.
She's healthy. She's strong. I have since let go of that guilt,
Good.
which was huge for me.
That must have been like a huge weight lifted off your
It
shoulders.
was. And I look back now and I'm like, it was 100% the right decision to stay on the medicine.
Because
Um,
imagine if you got off that medication, like what would your pregnancy have been like? Where would
that's
your
the
brain
thing.
have gone?
Would it have been like my son? Would
Yeah.
I have gone through postpartum depression again? Like, who knows, right? And so on the heels of a medical practitioner not supporting someone who's crying for help, you had two individuals that very much were like, no, we gotta help her out.
Yeah.
And so it was a great experience. My daughter's maternity leave was everything you hear about how it should be.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad you got to rewrite that script.
I did. And so that was awesome. So, you get through that hurdle and then it's just one hurdle after another. Like you said, Mahesh, like resiliency was hard. I mean, I was a new mom. When I had my son, my mom was there. She was supportive, but it didn't come without those little
Comments.
zings.
Sure.
What
You
I
know?
want to ask, and it just keeps coming back to me, is from the first time mothering and parenting angle, where are you supposed to have these conversations and ask these questions and profess to the right or wrong people or any people how you're feeling?
I don't know that you do. I mean,
Is there a right place? Like,
I don't know that there is. I thought I did it in the right place.
Mm.
Right, yeah.
And I think it took 6 months later to speak up again because I really dealt with that. Like, I guess it's me. Like, I thought I spoke up in the right place. These are the people that are supposed to help me. They're supposed to.
I
Right.
feel like almost like betrayal.
Yeah,
Like,
I felt a huge amount of betrayal, which was a common thread throughout my childhood trauma. I
Yeah.
felt betrayed. My father was emotionally absent. He was, for the most part, physically absent too. My parents were married. They lived in the same house. They had a horrible relationship.
Mm.
So I didn't see what a healthy relationship would look like. My mom was emotionally abusive. She was physically abusive. She, to the day she died, claimed that she didn't think that she was abusive. But, when you buy one of those paddles that's got the string attached to it and the rubber ball, you're like, I don't know, what was this fun? Did you all play with these?
Oh, yeah.
Paddle ball. Ting, ting, ting,
What is
ting.
like, yeah.
No. I can never do it.
She bought one of those, brought it home, was like, I have a toy for you, only to then pull the ball and the string off and use it to hit us.
Oh.
So like,
Yeah.
to me, that's physical. I'm sorry. I don't know how you cut it. That's physical abuse.
Sure.
It is.
I was throwing a tantrum once, and so she decided her best course of action was to strap me to my bed and physically restrain me in that manner. I could never fathom doing that to my own
child,
children.
yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
How
And I
old were you?
oh God, probably my daughter's age, 8, 9, maybe a little younger.
Sure.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That's
all
awful.
these little experiences, the constant yelling and screaming at me. I mean, it was just my PTSD that
You must have been in like survival mode
all
for
the
like
time.
your whole life.
all the time, didn't know what was going to happen. I tell people that I got to know my mother's footsteps. The sound of her footsteps, I could determine
Whether she was in a
what
good
kind of a mood she was in based on her gait.
Oh, Christine,
That's
I
how-
understand completely.
Right?
Yes.
I could totally relate to that too.
My PTSD now is like a loud noise, is like a shock to me. So like I'll go to, when I was an administrator in high schools, I'd go to the basketball games. I rememmer the frickin' horn would go off at the end of a
Buzzer,
quarter.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
jump.
like
Yep.
a
The
jump
buzz.
scare for
Sure.
me. And so just super tumultuous. But in terms of resiliency, when I left for college, my sophomore year, I left a note for my father on the table, just opening up. This is how I feel. This was the kind of dad you were or were not for me.
Wow.
Good for
And I
you.
didn't expect a reply. I never thought I would hear from him. And then that year, a couple months later, a letter arrived at my college mailbox, and it was my dad, and it was quintessential my father, right? It was like, I'm going to be the funny man and tell you what's going on in my life to start. But in the last paragraph, he opened up and he was like, basically said, I know I've failed in certain capacities, but we still have time left. And I do, in fact, love you, which was a
Wow.
moment for me that it still makes me emotional because I lost my dad 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Mahesh,
sorry.
yeah. That fixed everything for me in terms of his absence. All the stuff he had done, that was forgiveness for me. That he was
100%.
able.
He acknowledged your pain.
He acknowledged it. And he was like,
And he admitted
messed
where he
up.
faulted.
yeah, he was like, I'm not the perfect person, right? And so what I was able to garner from that is in my adulthood, I realized that I had to meet him where he was.
Yep.
What he could provide for me was presence when he was around, right?
Mhm.
So he became someone where I'd go to the house and it was like a Saturday morning at 11 and he'd be like, Christine, you want a drink? And I'd be like, Dad, it's 11. And he'd be like, come on, just have fun with me. Why not? Right? Why not? Because for him, that's how he
Probably coped.
that's how he coped and that's how he wanted to spend that time. And I loved that.
Yeah.
Right? Whenever I was there, he was funny and engaging and that it was easy. It became very, very easy with him.
I'm very proud of you for
Thank
writing
you.
that letter.
Yeah, I
Because
actually
I never thought of doing something like that.
It was a risk,
I mean, yeah,
but
but
I
it
was
outweighed
ready
to be
for
well.
I was ready for whatever outcome came from it.
But I want
right?
to expand on that for
Yeah.
a second because I want to tie this back to, the struggles of when you were pregnant, first time to the second time, and you had the team of the doctors the second time, but there was a wherewithal in you to talk to your doctors,
Yeah,
right? There was a wherewithal in you to write that letter.
yeah,
That wherewithal, we don't all have,
yeah,
and the betrayal of the support system that you thought you had
Mm.
that you ended up didn't having is a scary place to be. So
is.
when you are left with, and you stated this earlier, that there you are having to deal with this crisis at the moment, whether it be childbirth or whether it be the trauma from your childhood, as a child and as an adult, processing it. How are you? I don't know if you can answer this, but the question comes to mind is like, how are you able to dig in to say, I got to hit a pause button on this and identify the fact that I didn't cause this, but I'm going to react to it and I'm going to put things in place to help me move forward. I'm going to take the lead.
Yeah, I mean, that's an amazing question. It's hard to go back into my 19-year-old brain and remember exactly what prompted me to do that. I think for me, once I went to college, I was starting to experience what the lack of a relationship with my dad was doing to me as an adult.
Mm.
I hate it when people are like, oh, she has daddy issues. I did. I don't know what you want to call it, but when I was starting to meet boys in college, I sucked at it. I didn't know what I was doing. I would latch on too quickly. I would distance myself. I'd pick the wrong person. And I started to come to the realization like, oh, this is real. This is because I didn't have my dad, right? I
Healthy
didn't
relationship.
have that healthy relationship with a man growing up. And so I don't have any idea how to navigate this.
Okay.
And so I realized that I needed to acknowledge that.
Mm.
And my dad loved writing. He wrote for the local newspaper. He would stay up late at night and he had this like old school word processor that he would just tap, 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 tap. Yeah.
That's cool.
And I would read his column and I'd be like, who is this? This man does have emotion. Like he's in there. And it dawned on me that maybe that's how I connect with him is through the written word, because that's how he seems to connect with others.
Mm.
So for me, it was honestly a last ditch effort. Let me try this. If he doesn't respond and I get nothing, nothing's changed. And so while it was risky, it really wasn't, in that we're still where we are, right? It's not going to get any
lose.
Not
worse.
losing ground.
I'm not losing anything,
Right.
right? And if it works, it works. And it worked. It was precisely the way to connect with him.
Wow.
It doesn't work
That's
for
amazing.
everybody. I tried it later, writing a letter to my mom, and that did not go well. That went horribly. And looking back on it, it's because
She probably
she took those words and
Yep.
spin them however she wanted.
She's
and
a
I didn't
punitive
have
person.
a chance to rebut, right?
Yeah.
Because I'd already said it. It was there.
Mm.
She was too emotionally abusive, too conniving, too much of an ability to twist things. She was very much like a snake in the grass. My dad, no, you write it, you said it. That's it. Like, I
Set
get
in
it. It's
stone.
clear. It's set in stone. There's no nuance around it.
Yeah.
And I also think she may have been jealous of the fact that while she did her best to be both mom and dad when I was young, I think she was jealous that the man who was absent and hurt me so much, I ended up having a better relationship with in the end. And I think she couldn't deal with that.
That's deep.
How dare
is
I
deep,
did
yeah.
everything for you and he didn't,
Right.
and you're closer with him now. That is hurtful to me.
Yeah.
I feel humbled sitting here having a little girl who's 2 years old, knowing that I'm her father, and she's going to know the impact of the sound of my footstep based on how I make it.
Yep.
And then I have a 7-year-old that you've heard, you heard me boast I'm a good parent. I'm also very hard on myself, and I yell at my son a lot, and that looks like just simply raising my voice and turning the volume up. But I
could be scaring him in turn.
well, just growing up the youngest of four, with two
I was the
parents
youngest of four too.
that did their best, I don't know. It's just kind of how my nervous system grew up. So it's just like, no, if you're not listening, I got to turn the volume up.
Yep.
That's the problem. And that's never the problem. That's
Never.
an internal problem.
Yeah.
I have a problem in that moment, and I
Yeah.
need to go sit and self-regulate and take
Yep.
some deep breaths. So I'm growingly more and more, I guess it's called anticipation. It's just building around, like, bridging the gap to becoming an author. Like, how
So
did you get there?
I think it was
And-
always in me. I mean, I just told you my dad was a writer. And he was a really good writer for someone who, he never went to college. He just graduated from high school. He's a very solitary individual. He always wrote, and he was funny as hell. And he'd write, and he'd be like, Christine, read this one. And I'd read it, and I'd be like, yeah, that one missed, and then I'd read some, and I'd laugh, and I'd be like, yeah, it's really good. And I remember when I was in high school, I don't know what y'all's experience were, but we had to write like writing samples once a week in English class, and it were just like you
I don't
write
remember high
something
school.
about like
I
anything.
think that's a trauma response.
Yeah, there was like no direction, right? It was just like write something. And I mean, I was out of ideas. Like how many times you just like write anything? And so my dad used to tell this ridiculous joke about like hearing a knock on the door. And I don't remember it exactly, but it was like this guy keeps hearing a knock on the door. He opens the door. He's like, what's going on? What's going on? Or whatever. He notices a snail on the ground. He like kicks the snail. He's like, what the heck? He like kicks it. And then like a year later, he gets another knock on the door. He opens it. And the snail's like, what'd you do that for? Like it took the snail a year to get back onto the stoop. I don't know. It was a dumb joke. But for a writing sample, I was like, I'm just going to write that joke. Like it just give it a ton of description.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah,
turn it
to
in.
make it come
I'm
to
out
life.
of ideas.
Oh
I
my
got
God.
nothing left. And my English teacher gave it back to me and was like, I don't know what to think of this piece. It's funny, and I had no idea where it was going, but I also simultaneously don't get it. And that is my dad. That was my dad.
Was
And
it still an A+ though? I feel like
I
you
don't
got
even
an A+.
remember what I got on it. It was more like the comment on it was like, what kid writes a joke as a writing sample? And so I think for me, it just kind of grew in me writing. It was also a safe place.
Mm-hmm.
Where like I could be experiencing something and then like the truth can always exist here.
That's really interesting because most teenagers would be petrified in
Of writing?
articulating their emotions, knowing that they don't have the skill on how to articulate their feelings and put it on paper.
Well, I think it's like anything you got to practice, right? The brain
Right.
is a muscle.
It yes, but developing muscles is hard,
It is hard.
right? As a
Yes.
physical trainer,
Yeah.
you know, uh, I've had my Planet Fitness memberships, and I keep driving by it on my way to Dunkies.
How
you
many
know?
times have I said that I keep the lights on at my
Right?
gym?
Yeah, it's
I
like,
keep the lights on. I pay their electricity bill.
but to exercise, I mean, if you're a guitar player, you have to practice.
Yeah.
Until you get the blisters. You have to do the work to put into it. I think the average person struggles with the effort, but writing to you came, from what I'm hearing, quite naturally.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a very articulate person.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
But how are you like, I'm going to publish a book?
Oh, I never thought that, to be honest with you. I originally, a publisher reached out to me because I made the decision to open up about my struggles probably just before COVID. It was like 2019, 2018. A colleague of mine at the time at a different school district said, I was running a nonprofit with a former student at the time, which has since folded, unfortunately, for various reasons that we don't need to get into. But the colleague was like, whoa, you run this nonprofit. Like, that's amazing, about anxiety and supporting people with anxiety. Like, have you ever thought about bridging the gap between the work you do with this nonprofit and being an educator? And I was like, no, how would I bridge that gap? And so he kind of encouraged me, like, what you should do is like start writing little articles about like how you, as someone running a nonprofit about anxiety, support kids in school with anxiety, like how you know about it through your experience. So I started writing a little bit.
Like a columnist?
Yeah, like just
call
sort
that?
of like an article for an ed magazine, like 5 strategies to support students with anxiety or whatever.
Wow.
And so I submitted it to the publisher of a journal, and it became the most read article in 2019. Like, on that publication, I was like,
amazing.
holy crap. Like,
So cool.
I guess there's an avenue for this. And so I just continued trying to write, started filming like little videos of myself. So I work out, and that's always been a part of my life. I'm actually a personal trainer now. And so
Want
I
to
would
help a
work
sister
out.
out?
Absolutely. We can talk after the show.
Sounds good to me.
So I would like work out and then film like a 30-second video with like, this is what I was thinking about. Cause that's how it started. People were like, you run? Like, what do you think about when you run? And I was like, well, other than how much I hate it, I don't know. I started thinking about like, what am I thinking while I'm running? And so I would film like a real quick video of myself afterward. Like, I just took a run and this is what I was thinking about. And this is the kind of the lesson this run taught me. And so a publisher recognized me and was like, hey, have you ever thought about writing a book? And so then the concept of writing something larger came into my head.
That's
Wow.
amazing.
That is amazing.
Thank
That's
you.
So cool.
And so originally I was writing about like what you can do to support kids in the educational space. It didn't feel like my book. It wasn't my story.
Mm.
It was like, here, educators, this is how you help other kids.
Right.
But I felt like it was too premature.
Like a textbook almost.
Yes. Like, who's going to listen to me if they don't know who I am? And so I decided to dive into my own project, which is Finding Your Way, Your Way. And it's more of a memoir type of story. But I also, as I mentioned to start, there's that line between it's okay for you to say I experienced trauma, but there are other people that have it worse. I decided to reach out to other people and say, I'm going to create this work. If you've got a story you want to share and a space to share it and you want to take that risk, let me know, because I'm going to write your story too. So that book isn't just me. There's 5 other people that I write about that have amazing stories of resilience and overcoming that humbled me that they were willing to sit down with me.
Yeah.
One of the women I write about, we sat down for 7 hours. And
Wow,
she
that's
told me
amazing.
her entire story,
Mm.
and it was gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my God, how do I encapsulate a 7-hour interview into one chapter in a book?
Wow.
That was daunting, but it was an amazing opportunity because I wrote it and then I shared it with her. I shared it with everybody before I was like, I'm publishing this because
Sure.
I'm going to give you the control and make sure I told it the way you want.
Right.
There's nothing that's misinformation. And I gave it to her and she said she cried.
Wow.
It was so perfect for her.
I can't wait to read it.
So that book is so important to me because I think it does a good job of sharing that resilience isn't just your story. It's about coming together as a community and sharing and having a safe space to say, this is what I dealt with. This is how I overcame it.
So we're going to have the links for Christine's books, as well
Please.
as to her website, as well as to your YouTube page.
Yeah, so I have a
Right? That's
YouTube
the
channel with a couple different playlists on there for various things.
Cool.
I don't do the taping after a workout anymore, really.
Mhm.
I really am trying to focus more on like the personal training aspect and how
Sure.
I can get people to not just pay to keep the lights on in the gym, as you just admitted that
Yeah.
you do.
I do.
But to, you know, kind of take the risk and start moving, because movement, in my opinion, you know, people say like, how did you get to where you are? It's not one thing. And I'm sure you guys can all agree with that.
Yeah.
It's
no
not
way,
just
no
therapy.
chance.
It's not just taking a pill. You know, it's not just writing or it's all the things together.
And it's even doing 1,000 things
Yes.
half-asked,
Yeah.
and you know, to 20% of my capacity or ability, I
Exactly.
still did 1,000 things.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And I tell people there's no bad workout.
Right.
You got up and you moved. And, you know, that's what I try to get people to do. Like they'll walk into a gym and go, where do I go?
That's
Like,
me.
what
Yeah.
do I do?
Like,
I
what
don't
do I
even know
do?
where
I
to
used to work
start.
out. I used to know everything to do. Now I'm like, I have no idea. Formations, anything.
Add an injury to that.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, and add an injury
forget
or
about it.
add, you know, an illness that derails you for a week. And then you're like, I have no interest in going back. Right.
See, I lost so much weight that I need to gain back the muscle.
Yep.
That it's like, I'm not even strong enough to pick up a 10-pound weight.
Yeah. It's there's so many people in that particular boat. And so I try to help people both reach goals that they have in around, you know, being stronger and whatnot, but also to get them to just feel better about themselves. I call it non-scale victories.
Mhm.
There's so many non-scale victories
Non-scale
that people
victories.
refuse
I
to
like that.
acknowledge.
Yeah.
Right? Because to them, it's like, well, I worked out for a month and I stepped on the scale and nothing has moved.
Yeah.
Okay. Do your clothes feel better? Well, they do. Awesome. When you walk up the stairs, are you as out of breath?
Yeah, how's
no.
your breathing?
Awesome. How you sleeping?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm actually sleeping a lot better. Great. These are all victories.
How are people getting along with you
Yes.
lately?
Yeah, no, exactly.
Better.
Right.
You know, I
Yeah.
had a client who was getting to the end of the personal training package she bought through the gym I was working at. And I said, so what are you going to do? Like, are you going to re-up? And she's like, well, my husband will kill me if I don't, because he says I'm much easier to live with.
There you go.
Non-scale victory.
Right?
Right. And so, you know, that's what I'm trying to do now is, you know, put content out there that shows people it doesn't need to be difficult.
Right.
You can just do these simple things and it's going to benefit you, not just physically, but more importantly,
Mentally.
emotionally.
Did this momentum, and I see this momentum from when you're in college and you wrote to your father and you started writing articles and, you know, as a teacher administrator, which you killed. You're
Oh,
amazing.
Thank you.
But like any journeys are, there are struggles.
Oh my God.
So
Many.
when you hit your roadblocks, was there someone for you that said, "Look at the non-scalable victories," or did you have to dig in deep? And how did you overcome
that's
your
not
roadblocks?
fair, Mahesh. You just caught me. He threw it back at me. No, I'm kidding. Oh my God. I don't know, but
I do this for a living.
yeah, I know you're damn good at it too. There were a lot of struggles. So I have always struggled with needing outside validation. That's a result of not getting the validation when I was younger. And I feel like the struggles I had, you know, I was a classroom teacher for 15 years, the last 4 of which I was also the department head. So I jumped into that leadership position. I'm not saying this with any ego, right? I'm saying this as simply self-awareness. My presentation is intimidating.
Yeah, you're a force.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I am edgy. You can't see it now, but I'm covered in tattoos. I have a short haircut, right? There were times when we worked together.
Rancid cover band growing up?
Yeah.
Yeah?
exactly.
No?
No.
What instrument do you play?
Well, I do play the bass a little bit. I'm not very good at it because I don't play as often as I should, but I do enjoy it when I do. There was an incident in Mahesh, you may remember this, where there was a student that was caught with something they shouldn't have during our tenure together at school there. And I walked into the room and the student said, I want her to leave.
Oh, yeah.
She intimidates me.
Yes.
And I hadn't spoken a word.
Nope.
So for me, it's, I'm an edgy looking person. I'm athletic, but I also really like to be a girly girl. I would wear heels to work and fitted clothing. And I think that other people found it so intimidating. They don't know what to do with
Because
me.
people like to pigeonhole other people. They like to put
Correct.
people in boxes.
Mhm.
Yes.
I mean, like when we were together and like, most people expect an accent out of me,
Yes.
like, was that guy from like Hawaii?
Yes.
And it matters why.
Right. I also know that I'm decent at building good relationships with people.
Yeah.
And so you add that on top of I don't really know how to address her or what to do with her. She's different. It became like an intimidating thing. And a lot of the folks that I worked with on the same level or just above me didn't like that. They didn't know what to do with it. And Mahesh, I think you would attest to this. I was willing to make the hard decision because it was the right decision.
Mhm.
And that's not how public schools work anymore.
Right.
You've got to make the least controversial decision. And I refused to do that.
Yep.
I think I was also in a unique situation in the last year we worked together where I was a finalist for the principalship and decided to stay on as the assistant. And I will say, in the defense of the person who was principal, that was probably challenging, right?
Mm.
Because she's coming into a new role. She wants to build the school she wants to build. And now she's got to manage the person that
It's part
went
of
up
the old-
against her.
Right. Right.
And I've gotten to a place now with emotional intelligence to know that was probably a struggle to some degree for her, which caused a bit of conflict. And as a result, how that tenureship ended. I, although was there longer, was let go, got pink slipped.
Yep.
And the person that was hired to be my assistant principal along with me got to stay with less experience, not as high a license, and because they had a friendship outside of work with the principal, right? That was a huge roadblock for me.
can
I also
imagine.
know that I probably had some responsibility in that, right? Maybe I was a little cold. Maybe I came off as knowing more than them. I don't know. What do I do now, right? What do I do? I can't not do something else.
But you could have hid behind the anger of saying, I'm getting screwed over. But you're willing to examine the possibilities of where other people were. That is not a skill that a lot of people have.
Yeah, not common.
Right. So what I'm questioning is,
How do I do that?
yeah, going back, how did that evolve? Because like a lot of people don't have the tenacity or the strength to dig in deep and say, I'm alone in this and I got to figure a way out. But I could just be comfortable in wallowing in my misery. A lot of people are very comfortable
They are.
living in their mother's basement, blaming the rest of society for where they are, and thinking, maybe I should brush my teeth today. Nah, I'll just play a video game. There are a lot of people like that. You dug in deep and you made choices when you were alone. And you've been alone.
I have for
Right.
a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have supports around me. I don't want
So
people
is
that
it-
I know
is
that
it-
to be like, I'm here with you. Why are you saying that? But
So
you know what I
is
mean.
it taking anger and turning that into your strength?
So I'll be, again, totally honest. My anger, and you probably know this, Mahesh, has turned into a huge chip on my shoulder. An anger that I'm like, screw you.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you.
Yes.
Because you know what? There's going to come a point where you see what I'm doing today.
Yeah.
And you're still going to be in the same place.
Yes.
And for me,
Can you
there's
pill that up?
nothing, there's nothing more like
It's delicious.
the best revenge
Yeah.
is living a good life.
Yeah.
And when I actually, not to like double down here, but the day I got pink slipped was the morning after I said goodbye to my dad dying.
Yep.
Oh,
And so Mahesh knows that piece of it. And the people who pink slipped me knew that I had spent the evening by my dying dad's bedside saying goodbye to him, and came in and they still gave me the pink slip because they said they had to legally. Whatever. They could have bent some strings and been like,
Yeah.
she's given a lot to this community. We'll give her a weekend to, digest this. When I was there and I experienced that, I told my dad I was going to be okay.
Yeah.
I can't now not be okay. I can't have the last thing I said to him be a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that motivates me. And also, my mom passed away 16 months after my dad. I hadn't spoken to her in like 4 years. It actually impacted my relationship with my dad at the end because my dad was like a not savvy tech guy. So like he didn't have his own cell phone. There's no way to talk to him except through her. And I made a very difficult decision that my relationship with her was too bad for me that I had to sacrifice him to not have that negative influence in my life. And so I made the decision when my siblings called to say, she's got very little time left.
Yeah.
I made the decision to go anyway. And I remember standing there asking, I said to her, my siblings left. They were like, do you want a moment? And I was like, I got to be the bigger person here, right? Like, I'm never going to have another opportunity. And I said, I do. And I just asked her, I said, Mom, were you ever proud of me? She's like, of course I was proud of you, but I don't believe it. And so that's the chip today.
Yeah.
I'm going to make you look down at me and be like, shit, I messed up.
Yeah.
That's how I do it. It's not easy, clearly.
Yeah.
But that's how I do it.
But that's real.
Yeah. Because what's the other option?
It's the alternative.
Right.
Like, what's the other option?
The other option, a lot of people that are watching this are wondering right now, do I have the strength to do what Christine did? And that's the other option is to remain in misery.
Yeah.
It's
miserable. Thank you. I can't I have to pay for the tissues. Ellie. Yeah, it's
but it goes back to momentum.
It's momentum. It's like you got to start small. Like, you're not going to change everything in a day, right? You're not going to wake up tomorrow and be like, oh, I have all the answers, right? It's a journey. I think it's also important for my kids to see mom experience life.
Yep.
Ebb and flow.
Yeah. Like as you said, parenting is hard.
Parenting
right?
sucks. Yeah.
It's so hard.
It's lovely, but it's hard.
It's
it
hard.
sucks. There are days
And,
that it sucks. It's hard. Yeah.
I have moments where I'm like, oh my God, I got to run into the other room because I'm having a moment, because I don't want to freak out the kids. But by the same token, like, if they see me upset, it's like,
It's normal.
Yeah.
they're like,
It does normalize it. Yeah.
yeah. And I name it. Like, I'm not okay right now, guys. I'm going to be okay, but I'm not okay right now.
I love that you say that because I had some personal stuff going on in my life, not too long ago, and it was overwhelming and it was hard to carry every hour of every day. And the relationship I have with my 7-year-old son, my sister just couldn't understand. She was stopping by around breakfast time on a
Yeah.
weekday just to pop in and see me and check in on me and the kids. And she walks in and my 7-year-old is holding me more or less, like we're embracing.
Yeah.
And I'm crying, like ugly. She sees me ugly face crying with my son. And it wasn't anger. I don't want to paint my sister as an angry person, but her reaction to seeing that much raw emotion, father to son, right in front of her that early in the morning, I don't even know if she had her morning coffee yet. She just was like, whoa, what's wrong? What's going on? What's the problem?
Yeah.
And it's like, where do I start?
It doesn't need to be a problem that you're
No.
in that state. That's actually a really positive thing.
She ended up
You're
getting it. She
releasing.
ended up
Yeah.
getting the strength that I was building in my son by being human and
Yeah.
being fallible and sad and able to be emotional within measure, because he hears the other side where I get big mad and I turn the volume up and I feel like I have to come up
Mm.
out of myself to get his attention. And every time I always apologize to him, and he says, "It's okay, Dad." And I
Yeah.
say,
But I think
"No,"
this,
I say, "No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not okay, but thank you for forgiving me."
the ability to apologize to your child is huge because, well, generationally, culturally, whatever, however you want to label it, I grew up in a family where that just was not done, but
No.
I've done it all the time with my kids, and them seeing you as a human being matters, you know, especially from being a young child growing up, that, yeah, dad screwed up. Well, yeah, dad fixed it, or dad tried to fix it, or dad acknowledges that he screwed up. You too can screw up, acknowledge that you screwed up,
Everybody can make mistakes.
right? Don't hide it, and don't all of a sudden create another problem to divert from the real problem,
Yeah.
cause drama, you know, just, this is okay. We have the family to help you make it okay.
hmm
But, you know, saying sorry to your 7-year-old son matters.
It
For that
does.
7-year-old to accept that and to see that is huge as far as development, you know, and to acknowledge that, yeah, this is an ugly experience. This is a fearful experience, and I'm really sorry for that.
Part of the reason I was hugging him and showing him was because he was going through the same thing with me
Yes.
in his own 7-year-old way, every day, every hour of every day, and and it wasn't a conscious thought. It's, hindsight being 2020, but to me, it's important, that I show him that he can have a blow off valve
Yeah.
other than anger or loud or excitement, that like sadness has a direction you can go in it too. That's healthy and,
Yeah.
messy and
Well, you're creating resilience in your child, right? You go back to the common themes through your podcast. It's all about strength and resilience.
Yep.
If you show a kid that everything is, sunshine and roses 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, when it's suddenly not,
Yeah.
how are they going to deal with it?
right.
How
They're
are they
not going
gonna
to be
cope?
resilient.
How are they going to deal with
Every
the trust
parent's
issues they
intent is to
develop?
protect their child, to provide a safe environment for the child. And then here you are being the agent to prevent them from learning how to develop a safe environment for themselves,
Yeah.
and to be dependent on you to always provide that. That's such a disservice.
Yeah, I mean, a really good example of this too is, I've gotten divorced since having both of my kids, and when I moved out of my marital home, and we had our week on week off schedule with the kids,
Mm.
I was not only miserable without the kids because I missed them, but I was running around with like a chicken with my head cut off, because it's like, okay, they're not here. I got to get their laundry done. I got to get the
Yep.
food shopping done, the bed sheets changed, all this stuff before they come back. And I was talking to my therapist about like, this is like unmanageable. Like I get no downtime. I feel like it's worse when they're not. I'm more busy when they're not here than when they are here. And she's like, Christine, why are you doing all that? I'm like, because it's got to be ready for them when they get here.
Yeah.
She goes, don't you think it's important for them to see mom like doing laundry and doing food shopping? Like, because otherwise they're going to come to your house and have no responsibility. They're not going to understand what you do as a mom. It's not going to build structure in them. They're just living in this fantasy world that like, everything is perfect here. Laundry just magically gets done. The dishes.
What comes with the title?
Yeah, you might be right. And I've since let go of that, and I live in far more chaos now.
Mhm.
But it's
But the
actually more
chaos
calm.
is
In a
calm,
way,
yeah.
Like I actually have moments when they're not there where I'll lay on the couch and like binge Bridgerton. I would never.
I just
do
finished
that
it
before.
last night.
I am
Oh.
on. Don't spoil it.
Oh, no,
I
I
was
won't.
only on episode 6, but I didn't do that before. I didn't do that before.
You're
I didn't
allowing
take
to
care
give
of
yourself
myself.
space
Yeah.
to be you.
Yeah. And my kids now, I'm like, Nathan, this is what I need you to do. You need to collect all the dirt, because he's 12 and the dirty laundry doesn't stay where it's supposed to, right? You need to collect
Pick it up
all,
off the
like
floor.
he's understanding what it means to take care of a household.
Yeah.
Here's a hell of a question. Has he written you?
No,
No?
no. I mean, I hope that he would feel he could.
Would it be a long text though at this point, or
If my
would he
son
break
sent
out
a long text,
keyboard?
I would send him to urgent care, because
Mhm.
to get anything more than one word answers from him,
There's something wrong with them.
seriously, it's like, how was your day? Good. How's your morning? Good.
And
How you
why-
feeling? Good. I'm
Huh.
like,
Sounds like me with fine.
That's
Fine.
every-
Fine.
It's an
Yeah.
it's an acronym.
I do that every day at work, and that's my pet peeve when I'm processing with my kids.
oh
you
yeah, I
know,
remember
and
you
get
said.
the one word answers. I'm like, and I'll tell them, like, you're putting me in a position to ask you 5 more questions.
Yep.
If you don't want me to ask you questions, give me a summary so we can have a conversation.
A lot of kids don't know how to have conversations
They
I know.
don't
nowadays.
because it's all
It's-
on the phone.
Everyone's hiding behind their text. You know, they feel uncomfortable. In the cafeteria, forget about it. I've got 300 kids staring down at their screen.
I thought they can't have their phones on them.
No, during the cafeteria. No, at lunchtime you can have, you know, study. You
it's
can
your
do it.
time,
Understood.
whatever you want.
You know, but it's yeah, I know. I mean, dude, I grew up in the 80s. Like, if it was old school, it'd just be like, no, put that shit away.
Hmm.
You
Do you
know?
ever see the videos online of like high school life back in 1990, and it's like videos of hallways where like folks are talking and
Yeah.
engaging.
There isn't a
game.
single electronic in
Not
sight.
one. It's crazy. So yeah, I mean, I've
Yeah.
I've decided, obviously through my process of trying to get well, I have become less rigid because that's something I need to work on. Anxious people want perfection, right?
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
everything's got to be perfect. And in letting go of some of that stuff, knowing I just got to, it's also helping my children to see like, oh, this is how life really works, right? It's
Mhm.
okay. Mom has moments. Mom does laundry.
Yeah.
She doesn't just, so I think that's also an important piece of what's allowed me to kind of let go of some stuff. I think I also do those things without resentment because I remember I always saw my mom do those things, but it didn't come without slamming pots and pans
Oh,
and
yeah.
swearing about how she was chief cook and bottle washer and can't believe she did
No
the
one's here to
dishes
help me.
before bed and wakes up and now the sink is full again. Like, it's
Yeah.
just,
And that's what happens
you
when
can
you have
fend
4
for
kids.
yourselves, but I'll cook for the dog. What?
What?
How does that work? I'm there sitting there as like a 9-year-old being like, I don't know how to cook, but the dog is getting chicken and rice. I should stick my head in the bowl.
Seriously.
So it's just like all these little things that I just don't want my kids to experience. And that was one of the reasons I stopped talking to my mom was because she started yelling at my kid, like she'd come
Ugh.
over and my son might not do something. Nathan. Yeah. And I was like, I can't have this.
This
I
is
can't
not
have
happening.
this is
History
triggering to
is not
me.
repeating
this
itself.
is triggering to me, but also like
Yeah, it's not
I
happening.
can't have this relationship
Not
for my
good for you.
kids.
So that was just her being. There was no.
She was miserable. She was
Yeah.
miserable. She wallowed in the negative. If she wasn't unhappy, she wasn't happy.
Yeah. And nobody else was.
Yeah. And she just it was my fault. Why won't you talk to me? Why aren't you part of my life? I think the hardest thing, which in terms of roadblocks and trying to overcome that I deal with now, I went in, I saw her, I had my moment with her,
Uh-huh.
asked if she was proud of me. She claimed she was. I asked her, say hi to my dad. I made a joke. My dad always gave me cactuses. It was like his thing. Like he'd
That's
go to
funny.
like the store and come home and have like a little cactus. And so when I got married, he bought me a cactus. And so it was still I know it's weird, right? It was still at my ex-husband's house. And so when he passed away, I was like, can I have the cactus? Like, I want it in my house now, right? Like, I want to feel like my dad's there. And I got some of my dad's ashes and I sprinkled them in the cactus.
Yeah.
Oh.
And
Oh,
so
cool.
I'm at my mom's bedside. I said, when you see dad, tell him I said hi and make sure he's okay with being in my cactus. And she was like, what? I'm like, long story. But like, and so I had this, what I thought was like a really good moment. And then, you go through that whole, the estate, when you have both your parents go and that whole process. And I found out that not only did she completely write me out of the will, she had closed out my kids' college funds and took the money and gave them to her other grandchildren.
Lovely.
And that was
Icing on the cake.
yeah. And so for me, it was like, yeah, you said in that moment you were proud, but your actions were not such. And so now I have that chip.
I can relate.
Oh, yeah.
That it's not angry though.
No.
It's more kind of, it's brought me even kind of closer to my dad, right? Because she passed after. And so a part of me is like, if he knew, and he does now,
Yeah.
he would not be okay with that. So, I now I feel even more of a need to be there for my kids and even more I want to make this work. I want them to see mom doing her own thing and building something up.
It's a clear vision of who you want to be
Yeah.
Yeah.
by knowing who you don't want to be,
Yes.
right?
Yep. Yep.
Here you are, I would say late 40s.
Mid. I'm about to be 46.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay, 46,
Yeah.
you know, and you've gone through this journey of reinventing yourself
Not once, but multiple times.
multiple times. Absolutely. You know, and now you've authored books, you've spoken dozens of times, you know,
Yeah.
in front of the public, you know, empowering people. Like, reflecting on what you've done, where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
So, well, I'm just trying to get through today and then tomorrow. Like, that's always been my perspective, like one day at a time. But what I hope to see in 5 years' time, I'm trying to build my own business.
Hmm.
That's what I'm really trying to do. I took a huge leap of faith after the experience, after we worked together and I got laid off. I worked for a year in corporate, hated it. It wasn't for me. And so I took a leap of faith, fully retired from teaching
Yeah.
and public education, pulled out my retirement. I'm kind of living off of that right now, although not fully. And I'm going full bore into the personal training thing. It's where I'm happy.
Yeah.
I feel like it is all parts of me. It's the edgy side. That's the former athlete. It makes me feel good about myself. It's part of my health maintenance.
Yeah.
It is a way to still help others. It's a way to teach, which obviously is inherent in me, having been a teacher for 15 years. So in 5 years, I would really like to see that business thrive, just to be able to say, I'm my own boss. I help other people, non-scale victories, right?
Yeah.
Maybe there are some scale victories as well. But that's where I hope to see myself in 5 years. I hope to fulfill the promise I made to my dad that I actually am okay, because there are days where I feel like I'm kind of faking it a little bit. They're worse than others, but I think that that's honest and real.
Some days you got to fake it till you make
Some
it.
days you do. And so one of the hard things for me was to accept that I went from a 6-figure a year job as an administrator in a high school at the very top, to working an hourly job, working at a gym right now to kind of try to make ends meet, but also instead of looking at it as a fall from grace, I look at it as a runway to success.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hopefully this is the avenue by which I will have the time to continue to build. And then, in a year or two's time, be able to, pull the plug on all things corporate and other people's businesses and working for them and just be doing my own thing. And I look forward to training my son. That's one of the things I do. He's an elite hockey player. And so he's got the personal training mom built in. And so I work out with him and
That's
help him
awesome.
out. And
So strange that you mentioned he's an elite hockey player.
Yeah.
I randomly, for the first time in her life, said this morning that I think I'm going to get my almost 2-year-old daughter into hockey.
that's
and
awesome.
Figure it out if that's what she
yeah,
wants to do, if
that's
she
awesome.
takes to
It is.
skating or something.
It is. Be ready to freeze your ass off, though.
Sure.
Commit
But
all your
anyway,
time to that.
that's where I hope to see myself, and I'm sure it will not be linear. I'm sure there will be a lot of ups and downs along the way, but
That's okay.
trying to break it up into small increments. Where am I going to be in a month? Where
Well,
am I
That's
going to
right.
be in 2?
I'm so incredibly happy that you joined us
Well, thank
for
you.
this podcast and for sharing your journey.
Well, thanks for having me.
You
This
know,
has
we're
been
going to
great.
have all of your links.
Yeah, Mahesh, put them up on the screen again, would you?
I'm going to
If
put it up
you
right
know where
here.
they go.
You follow 1, 2, and 3.
Thank you.
We'll pop it up right over there.
All right,
Okay.
sounds good. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you so much for having me. It's been
Thank you
awesome.
so much for joining us,
Yeah.
Christine. I can't wait to read your books.
Thanks.
Likewise,
Thank
and
you.
thank you for being a part of this conversation.
Thank you for what you guys do too. This is super important.
All right, guys. We'll see you next episode. Take care. Thank you.
Bye.